Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for 6 things we learned from Chelsea 2, Lille 0 in the Uefa Champions League Last 16, first leg at Stamford Bridge. It is a massive win for Chelsea, one of the best performances I have seen for a very long time. Before we get into anything, I do want to ask you to subscribe. We're getting close to 215,000 subscribers, and for a Champions League knockout phase victory, can we go for 5,000 likes here on the 6 things we learned video? It's a positive one. It's a good one. We started incredibly well. Our striker, Kai Havertz, who was playing up front today, managed to touch the ball more times than Lukaku did at the weekend. We were always going to bring that up in this video today. It's not necessarily always going to be about comparing what we've seen from Lukaku recently and what we saw tonight, but it's very hard to ignore the difference in fluidity with this Chelsea team without Lukaku in the side. He didn't come off the bench. We saw Timo Werner come on with 15 minutes to go or 10 minutes to go, whatever it was. We looked good. We created chances. We were fluid. We were getting forward fast. We were making decisions in the final third much quicker than we have done on many recent occasions. It's now 6 wins in a row in all competitions for Chelsea. We're building some serious momentum going into an important phase of the Premier League. We've got a Carabao Cup final against Liverpool at the weekend. And as much as we knew that Lille was the best tie we could have had some bloody awful teams in the last 16 because we finished second in the group. But it looks to me now as though Chelsea have got 1 foot in the quarterfinals of this year's Champions League, where we look to retain our trophy. But we begin, and I'm so delighted for this man today. It's a blue box for Christian Pulisic, scoring the second goal. But it wasn't just the work that Pulisic did, which is, by the way, a beautiful finish. It's kind of the same kind of shot that we saw just sneak past the post in the Champions League final when we thought Pulisic had made it 2-0 for us. It's a beautiful goal, this one. N'Golo Kante breaks away, just keeps on running with the ball, a sight that we saw so many times in this game tonight. And Pulisic's run, perfectly timed, and the finish was absolutely phenomenal. But it wasn't just that goal that I want to praise today with Christian Pulisic. Firstly, he was played in his correct position, on the left wing. And I think when we go with that system where we clearly had Hakim Ziyech on the right, Havertz through the middle, with Pulisic playing in that favoured left wing role, I think that's where he's at his best. We know that's where he's at his best, but I think for Chelsea, that is where we are at our best. When Pulisic is playing in his best position in a fluid system where he's a big part of the attack. And it wasn't just going forward that I thought Pulisic was excellent tonight. Tracking back, just before he got taken off, which he looked as though he put in a massive shift. You can see him walking off the field, soaking up the atmosphere of Stamford Bridge. He comes back, wins the ball back, making slide tackles, not winning fouls necessarily so much tonight, but winning possession back for Chelsea, keeping hold of the ball very well indeed in the first half too. There were moments where Chelsea were obviously getting out of the blocks very early, and Lille were putting a lot of pressure on us to try and retain the ball. Lille did well tonight in terms of actually keeping possession away from home at Stamford Bridge. But Pulisic was press resistant when he was in tight places in the middle of the park, where obviously he wants to be, making those runs over the shoulder. He was doing absolutely everything that he was asked to do perfectly well. And I'm delighted for Christian Pulisic. Gets himself a goal, and for me, absolutely puts himself in the starting 11 for the game against Liverpool at the weekend. Another knockout goal for Pulisic, and another massive goal for Kai Havertz as we move into box number 2. Within the first 8 minutes of the game, Kai Havertz could have easily had a couple of goals to his name. Azpilicueta's early ball in, that all he needed to do, Havertz was just to get his studs on it. But he somehow sees it go over the crossbar, and you're thinking, maybe Lukaku would have scored that. It's a funny world, football, We always bring it back to comparisons, whether we want to or not. But just a couple of minutes later, he puts the ball back on his left foot, cuts around the defender, forces a massive save out the goalkeeper. The corner comes in, and it is a bullet header. It is something that we don't see often enough from Chelsea's front man, actually getting off the ground, winning aerial duels. It's a phenomenal header. Heads it into the ground, into the top corner of the goal. It was a blistering start from Kai Havertz. And I think Chelsea overall were kind of playing to the strengths of the attackers today. We were making sure we were looking for the front men. We were finding them. The service was there. And again, it is very easy for us right now, after a big 2-0 win, to keep comparing it to Lukaku. But the thing about Kai Havertz is, even when the ball isn't directly coming to him, he drops deeper. He moves. He makes himself available for the ball to be played into him, which then allows for the layoffs to Hakim Ziyech, the layoffs to Christian Pulisic. And I think Havertz did very well. I think Chelsea overall, we kind of sunk into a familiar pattern, I'm going to say, with recent performances where for 30 minutes or 25 minutes, we look electric. And then all of a sudden, we let other teams come back in the game. We slow the pace down a little bit. But the one thing that was consistent the whole night was Kai Havertz wanted the ball. And I'm absolutely delighted not only for the goal, but the work rate of him and everybody else on the field. Moving into box number 3. Speaking of work rate, N'Golo Kante. This man tonight, back in the starting 11. In my preview, I said that it was going to be Jorginho and Kovacic. N'Golo Kante starts, which isn't a surprise because a Champions League knockout game is a big game. Who's N'Golo Kante? He's a big game player who covers not just the football pitch, but everywhere else that isn't water in the world. I know it's a cliche, funny phrase, but once again tonight, absolutely everywhere. And the best thing about Kante's game tonight, which is something we've been crying out for consistently from Chelsea recently, was his ability to run at defences, opening up spaces. Many times tonight, Kante would carry the ball 20-25 yards, lay it off to Azpilicueta, who also, by the way, I thought Azpi had a brilliant game tonight. And I'd say Alonso on the left was certainly the weak link in the Chelsea team. But Azpilicueta kept going forwards. Kante kept finding him. Maybe sometimes there was that chance to kind of like play a Ziyech-esque kind of pass to go back behind himself as opposed to keep sending it out to Azpi. But overall, N'Golo Kante again in a massive game for Chelsea, turned up and delivered. But box number 4, I kind of wanted to give him box number 1, but if it wasn't for the brilliant performance of Pulisic, who I thought deserved a blue box tonight, I could have easily given a blue box to Thiago Silva. The man is just like, he's immaculate. He's a family man. He's a flipping unbelievable defender. And what I really loved tonight about Thiago Silva is there was none of this trap the ball under your foot and then struggle to get it out. Every time he makes a block, it's always a first touch, first time block. You notice this? And then usually it operates not just as a block, but as a pass to start the next Chelsea attack. Thiago Silva, 37 years old, against familiar French opposition. I think there was a stat in the commentary tonight where he played against Lille like 10 times or something, or the last 10 times he won 9 and only lost 1, and that was a 5-1 defeat. But tonight, nothing was getting past this Chelsea defence. There were shaky moments from Tony Rudiger in the first half, but with Thiago Silva alongside him, you allow for those rare moments of, miscommunication or potentially just a mistake from one of the other centre-backs. Christensen was good, but Thiago Silva in that middle, I just hope he can keep going for, until he's 40. Maybe we see like a Maldini, Nesta-esque kind of Thiago Silva. Chelsea have been blessed to have this guy playing already for 2 seasons, with the extension coming of a 3rd. I repeat myself all the time, but Thiago Silva is a special, special player. And tonight, he was arguably the best on the field. Moving into box number 5, when Mateo Kovacic went off, I was concerned. Kovacic has been in brilliant form. He crawls down the tunnel almost. He's struggling to walk up the stairs from what I saw from the TV. But Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes on, and that was, to me, what I would like to think is what we see as a vintage Ruben Loftus-Cheek performance. Bodying opposition midfielders. Lille are a pretty strong side. They were a good team, they played well today. Ruben comes on, retains possession incredibly well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's ball retention was excellent. He got himself a yellow card for a slide tackle lunge, which I actually think was a bit unfair. I thought he won the ball. I think in the Premier League, maybe he'd have got away with that, but Lille were on the counter-attack, so he gets booked. But I thought Ruben was fantastic. When he came on, It's a big opportunity. He got the majority of that second half, and I don't really think he put a foot wrong. I think Chelsea's game, when Kovacic goes off, you think, are we going to be slow in transition? Is Ruben going to be able to win the ball, keep the ball, and offload the ball to continue building attacks from either wing? Ruben did it. I thought he was exceptional. And with Kovacic injured, we don't know how long it's going to be, but we got to keep an eye on it. And if Ruben plays like he did tonight, then I think Chelsea will be absolutely fine. And then there's also the small matter of Jorginho, who can also come in as well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek gets a green box, and we finish with a red for injuries. At the beginning of the second half, I thought there was a capitulation about to happen. We see Kova go down the tunnel and Hakim Ziyech go down the tunnel. I'm gutted for Ziyech in particular because he has just started to show just how brilliant he is and just how important he is to this Chelsea team, and he ends off limping off. I just hope that both Kovacic and Ziyech's injuries are nothing too serious and we can see them return at the weekend for the cup final against Liverpool. Hakim Ziyech in particular, it was the same when he got injured at the start. I think it was early last season or his first season. It was such a shame because he was just starting to build momentum and then he goes off. I thought it was going to be a capitulation, but the brilliant Captain America Christian Pulisic saves the day for Chelsea. 2-0 win, and it looks at the moment like we're steamrolling our way into the last day of the tournament that we are in fact the holders of. But anyway, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're not yet subscribed to GBFC, be sure to do so. And if you can hit the like button on this 6 Things We Learned episode, I'll be a very happy man. It's Carabao Cup final at the weekend and we are building serious momentum. Thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues.